Madam President. Mrs. Carrier?
Here.
Mr. Levy?
Here.
Mrs. Mazur?
Here.
Mr. Methan? Mr. Vetter?
Here.
Okay. And we will stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. We are going to elect our officers for 2025, and we need a nomination and motion.
I nominate Steph Mazur for president.
That's perfect. All right, so Jen moves. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Eric. And roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes. Mr. Methan is absent. Motion passes 4-0. The pens aren't working on the organizational one, but they'll work on the other one. I'm not, yeah.
Great.
I think it's somehow the way it was sent.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll work on that. Sorry about that.
And then we will elect a vice president for 2025. I will move to have Jen Carrier as vice president for 2025 year. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tyler. And roll call, please.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
And Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with one person absent. Thank you. The legislative liaison to SBA for 2025.
Nobody else wants to, I will.
I know you're
It's
getting
not
used
the
to
most exciting thing in the world.
But you are good at it, and you like to get into the details.
I do.
I move to nominate Jen.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Tyler. And that would be Jen Carrier. And roll call, please.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes 4-0. Appoint Student Achievement Liaison for 2025. Excuse me. Does anyone-
Brenda did do that, right? Who's the current student achievement?
Is it Meth? Is it Galen?
I thought it was Galen.
I think you're right.
And he's not here, but you okay with doing that?
That's fine with me.
All right, then I will
Or if you
move.
want athletics, I'll trade you.
It doesn't matter.
Do you guys want to switch up?
Let's switch it up, yeah.
Okay, so I move that Eric Vetter be our Student Achievement Liaison for 2025.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jen. And roll call, please.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
And Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. And I make a motion that Tyler Levy be our Athletic Council representative for 2025. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Jen. And you're okay with that, Tyler?
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
think we decided, yeah? Okay, so roll call, please.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
And Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Tax Incentive Review Committee representative for 2025.
Definitely. We'll move it or appoint Mike.
I don't know,
Okay,
Galen might like
that's-
this one.
That's the first. Mr. Ruin's name is actually on there, so we're good. And second,
I'll
please?
second.
Thank you, Eric. To appoint Mr. Mike Ruin as our Tax Incentive Review Committee representative for 2025. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes
We
4-0.
can just put in the notes that Galen's like the assistant.
Yeah, assistant to.
Sign him everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, Galen.
To establish the regular meeting date, time, and place for 2025. Are we still okay with normally the third Monday, 5:30?
That's fine.
Yep.
So
I'll move
works.
to keep that time.
Thank you, Eric. And a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Tyler. Okay, so it will be the third Monday of the month in room 139 at 5:30. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vetter,
Yes.
Mr. Levy,
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier,
Yes.
and Mrs. Mazur.
Yes, motion passes 4-0. Adoption of the following standing authorizations. Authorized to waive the reading of the board minutes unless otherwise requested by a board member. Authorized treasurer to secure advances from auditor when funds are available and payable to the school district. Authorized treasurer to invest any inactive funds at the most productive interest rate. Authorized treasurer to pay all bills within the limits of the appropriation resolution and make appropriation modifications as needed. Authorize the superintendent to employ such temporary personnel as is needed for emergency situations. Authorize the superintendent to serve as purchasing agent for the school district. Authorize the superintendent to approve events on which public funds may be expended for meals, refreshments, gifts, and amenities. Motion, please.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you. Tyler first, Eric second. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Levy,
Yes.
Mr. Vetter,
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier,
Yes.
and Mrs. Mazur.
Yes, motion passes 4-0.
Before we move on to adjournment, I just realized this, but is 4 county representatives supposed to be in this organizational
It's for
meeting, or is that?
3 year.
That's,
Okay.
yeah, because you go for a certain
Okay.
amount of years and then
Good.
you're locked in for a while. but- Okay, and I need a motion to adjourn this organizational meeting. It is 5:38.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Jen. And we will move into the next regular meeting as soon as we have the roll call for this.
Mr. Levy,
Yes. Here.
Miss-
Is it here?
It's, we're adjourning this
Adjourn,
meeting, so it
yes.
is a
Yeah.
roll
Yes,
call.
sorry.
Yeah.
Mrs. Carrier,
Yes.
did we get a yes out of?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur.
Yes, motion passes 4-0. We will move right into our regular board meeting for January 13th.
Who was second? Was it?
I don't know.
Did you second it, or did you second it?
He first, I second.
Okay, thanks.
I third it. I fourth it.
I screwed everything up, and it's okay.
Let's watch the
You ate the dead skunk on the side of the road. Okay. Regular business, we need a roll call as we come back in.
Okay. Mrs. Carrier,
Here.
Mr. Levy,
Here.
Mrs. Mazur,
Here.
and Mr. Vetter.
Here.
All right. We already did our pledge. We have no visitors outside of our regulars. And thank you for being here. Director of Operations, you're up.
So we just recently had some snow, which has been a good winter for us so far. So we've been busy plowing, salting sidewalks, parking lots. The schedule's still pretty busy in the building. This time of year, all the sports programs are all indoors, so all the gyms, field house, all the courts are being used, pretty much 6 days a week. Have ball games going on, cheerleading practice, you name it. Starting to plan, already order the air filters for spring break, where we change those out. Last couple months ago, we winterized all the park properties, and over Christmas break, we were pretty busy. We had all the fire alarm system tested, the kitchen hood tested. That's twice a year for the kitchen hood, one time a year they check every strobe, pull station, in the whole building. We had 2 heat pumps replaced that were ordered back in May. That's how long it took to get them, and to get them on the schedule to do them while the kids are in school. We also had the Bureau Workman's Comp grant I had applied for, and we were awarded it. And the 2 items that we had taken part of was adding power to the auxiliary gym bleachers. So now instead of having to manually push them in and out 4 sections, they can just plug in the remote and they run in and out with the remote control now. So everyone down there from Jen Cunningham to Sean Bergman, they love them now. They really appreciate it. And then also part of the Bureau Workman's Comp grant was to avoid slips, trips, and falls. And down by our playground doors, there was VCT tile, which is a slippery surface, so we put rugs there, but then they start to fray and become a trip hazard. So we put some indoor carpeting in, almost like a walk-off mat for a vestibule. It's the best of the best that you could put in. Friends Furniture or Flooring got that. They did that on December 23rd, so that's been installed too down there. So
It looks really nice.
And it's a lot safer.
yeah, that's safer. That's all I got. Unless you guys got any questions?
No, we don't. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.
You may have somewhere else you need to be.
Thank you.
Principal reports.
All right, I get to go first tonight. I'd like to start off by congratulating 3 of our Hicksville High School students, Anna Saunders, Colton Hancock, and Jalen Tunis. These 3 students earned a spot to represent Hicksville at the OMEA District 1 Honors Festival, which is this Sunday at the Stranahan in Toledo. Anna's going to be performing in the Honors Band, and then Colton and Jalen will be performing in the Honors Choir. I got to go attend it last year, and it really is a big honor, and I know those students are excited, so best of luck to those students. Today marked the start of second semester for us. Final grades will be entered this week, and we will be rewarding our second quarter honor roll students on Friday, January 24th during first period. So students should be on the lookout for that invite. And our seniors here at Hicksville are taking their American government test tomorrow, their state test, the one state test they have this year, during periods 3 through 5. I think I'd mentioned that to you guys before. The seniors at Fort County took their test before Christmas break, and this change was made in response to the state's updated honors diploma requirements. We felt that it was in the best interest to offer it to our students early. We feel confident in their ability to do well on that test, taking it early, but it will allow students who need the citizenship seal to have a solid opportunity to earn that early versus having to wait about 1 week before graduation. That's just not very feasible, so we are doing that test early this year and look forward to receiving the results, which should be the end of this month. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, on the middle school side of things, want to talk to you about our second quarter incentives, which it's crazy. Mr. Countryman and I were talking this morning about how fast the year is going, already halfway through the year. Our 5th and 6th grade students had their incentives last Friday, January 10th. Our 5th graders participated in Cookies and Canvas, where they were able to watch a video that guided them in creating a painting. And they really, really enjoyed this, and then they got to enjoy a movie in the afternoon as well. And our 6th graders played a variety of minute-to-win-it games. And when you walked by those classrooms, you could really, really tell how much fun they were having. So that was really neat to watch. I want to thank our 5th and 6th grade teachers for organizing these events. Our students really enjoyed it. Our 7th and 8th grade students this Friday, January 17th, are going to go to the Georgetown Entertainment Center in Fort Wayne. They're going to get to bowl and play a variety of arcade games. So those deserving students will be heading there on the bus in the afternoon and getting back right before school ends. I want to say a big thank you to our PTO for the generous donation to make this Friday's trip happen. For our 7th and 8th graders, as Mr. Highlander mentioned, the OMEA District 1 Honors Festival, we had 3 high schoolers chosen. We also had a middle school choir student chosen. So I want to congratulate Kayla Wonderly and wish her a lot of luck in performing in the choir portion of this festival on Sunday, this Sunday at the Strahan Center Theater in Toledo, as Mr. Highlander mentioned. And then my last thing is tomorrow is the Defiance County Spelling Bee at Ayersville Local Schools. Our champion, Zara Salinas, and our runner-up from our competition, Waylon Hilty, will be participating in that tomorrow night. So I want to wish them a lot of luck, and hopefully one of them can bring home the county spelling bee for us back to Hicksville.
That'd be nice. Kristen?
So in the elementary, today our structured literacy team completed the middle of the year benchmarking. Our biggest growth was seen in our kindergarten population, with 70% of our students at or above benchmark, in comparison to the beginning of the year with only 23% at or above benchmark. Kudos out to our classroom teachers and our structured literacy team. Just to provide, I guess, a very simple example of changing this program, Last year at this time, we had a grade level that had 59% of the students at or above benchmark in comparison to having 86% this year by just changing the way that we structured the program. So great job. Middle of the year benchmarking is also when kindergarten students are assessed for dyslexic tendencies. This is a new state mandate, so parents will be receiving those results this week as well. And just looking ahead, preschool screening, for early childhood screening for children ages 3 to 5 who are currently not enrolled in preschool or kindergarten, it's scheduled for February 24th at the Empowered Church in Hicksville and March 10th at the Family Christian Center in Defiance. And also, letters will be going home this week with all of the elementary students regarding kindergarten registration. That is scheduled for March 6th and 7th, and so when those letters come home, there'll be days and times to get your kiddos registered for that event.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Eric, what do you have for us? before we leave?
Some exciting news at Fore County. They're getting ready to break ground on the new building, except it's not quite that exciting because the first stage is a new parking lot. But you'll see some equipment start to roll into Fore County here in the coming weeks.
Awesome. And Mr. Countryman?
Yes, well, with the Christmas break, there's really not a lot other than what Eric mentioned, and kudos to them because they spent a lot of time here over the break and took care of a lot of things, and it's really nice. Also, as Tony already mentioned, we were talking about that this year is half over, and it's hard to believe that we're already in the midst of our second semester, but I wanted to say how smooth it's went, and I attribute that to all of our employees, the custodians, the teaching staff, the bus drivers, cooks, everybody. I mean, it's just been a great, solid year, wouldn't you guys say? Yeah. And then also, as you know, January is board recognition month, and I have certificates here for you guys. And, I just wanted to say that, we have our meetings and you guys do your thing and it doesn't seem like much, but there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes besides just this. The thoughts and stuff that you guys put into the decisions and stuff that are made and all that stuff is huge for our district. And, I mentioned all the other people that have made our district run smooth, but you guys are a part of that too, and I just want to say that I'm really thankful for each and every one of you, and I appreciate all the work that you do. So we have these wonderful certificates here that were put out by the Ohio School Board Association.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I thank you for your
Thank you.
work for Hicksville Schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to minutes and financials. If I could have a motion, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Eric.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tyler. Minutes from the regular board meeting on November 26, 2024 recorded. Treasurer's consent agenda items, cash reconciliation as of December 31st, 2024, financial statements for December 2024, approve amended official certificate of estimated sources for fiscal year 2025 as presented, total general fund for resources of $18,760,122.42, and total resources for all funds of $23,630,550.81. Approve amended permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2025 as presented. Total general fund appropriations of $14,457,081.31, and total appropriations for all funds of $17,116,135.64. Comments? Discussion?
Not exactly on the agenda itself, it may be in the estimated resources, but we've gotten all of our information into the EMIS for the CEP program, the free lunches, so there had to be some changes in there to indicate that that's the direction we're going. And our DPIA funding, Disadvantaged Pupil Impact Aid, went from about 60,000 to 600, almost 650,000. There's a $590,000 increase by doing that, getting moved over. I want to caution that, will this program continue? Will it continue to look like it does? We'll have to see. Obviously, the state has a new biennium budget that will be approved by the end of June, and it could be making some changes to how this looks. Also, it will matter how many people or how many districts throughout the state are in the program, and how many aren't. So that will be determined. And of course, one of the things too is with this program, the lunchroom isn't getting collection of fees, lunch fees, so therefore their revenue will be down and they will take a loss. So some of our funds in the general fund will have to be transferred over. So, but we still should easily be quite a bit ahead by going to the CEP route, and our community members don't have to pay for their lunches for their students. So that seems like a win-win, and we'll have to see how long this win-win keeps lasting.
Yep. It's like a happy dance we should all be doing, probably inside our heads. Okay. We will, if no further discussion is to be had, employment of
Roll call.
Oh, shoot, yes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. It's okay. Yeah, we'll add it. We'll add it. It's not a big deal. I need a motion to move on to employment of certified staff.
I'll move.
Thank you, Jen.
All second.
Thank you, Eric. All right. Allie Nelson as a certified substitute for the 24-25 school year. Supplemental contracts for the 24-25 school year as we look to next fall sports. Justin Davis as head football coach. Jeff Hott as head boys golf coach. Samantha Lavin as head volleyball coach. Paul Payne as head cross-country coach. And Jacqueline Siebeneller as head girls golf coach.
Should that be 25, 26?
It'll be for the 25-26 school year, but they're in 2025. So the school year,
Oh.
yes, 25-26. But when they work will be 2025 fall. So
Right.
I'm not sure.
It should be the 2025-2026 school year.
Okay.
So that's
That was
a
just a-
good catch.
Yeah.
For,
Thank you, Jen.
but Allie Nelson, I think, should be at 24-25, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That change will be made.
Anything else? No? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes 4-0. I'm still in that lovely state where I'm still thinking it's 2024. I don't know about the rest of you, but it's all good. We move on to the employment of classified staff. I need a motion, please.
I'll move. I'll second.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Tyler. And Allie Nelson as a classified substitute for the 24-25 school year. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Services and agreements, a motion, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Jen.
Second.
Thank you, Tyler. Annual OSBA membership dues from January 2025 to December 2025 includes electronic versions of the OSBA briefcase, school management news, and the virtual transportation supervisor. Sorry, spelling. Subscriptions. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Do we have anything for other business that we would like to discuss? If so, we would need a motion.
No, I
Anything?
Just-
Jen?
No.
Okay. All right. So, anything as far as old business just to discuss? Anything you guys want to bring up or talk about here? Discussion? Anyone?
So.
No unannounced guests?
The dreaded House bill of parents' rights passed, right?
Yes.
Do we know when it becomes effective?
Do you have that on your email right now? Because I don't have my,
I was reading through some of the House bills that passed. And
we all kind of figured it was going to,
Yeah.
though.
Usually 90 days after it's signed.
Yeah, like a 3-month window.
Because I mean, will we have to change what policies have to change in like professional development?
Check.
Because,
Check that.
yeah.
There'll be stuff coming out. Probably nothing's coming out yet.
It takes effect 30 days after it's.
Is it 30 or 90? 30?
I think it's 30.
I know
Okay.
the one that affected me at work was 90 days, so it's like April 10th
Correct.
is the day. So that's why I was watching all of them, because I have work stuff.
April 8th, we're going to effect.
April 8th, okay.
Okay.
I know it's from the School Council Association, and they're obviously concerned about it, and it
Mhm.
might impact their work with
Mhm.
students, but it's pretty specific of what you have to report to parents. It's just kind of like, will there be any modifications or anything to it because of the people that are voicing concern and advocating against it, so I guess we'll find out.
Okay. Just something to be aware of and think about.
Yeah, there's always something new. All right, we are not scheduled to go into executive session. So we can have a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting would be Monday, February 17th. That is President's Day at 5:30. Is everyone okay with that? Yes? So I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Thank you, Jen. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Eric. The meeting is, roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrier,
Yes.
Mr. Vetter,
Yes.
Mr. Levy,
Yes.
and Mrs. Mazur.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Adjournment is at 5:58.
There you go. How about that?